The space around Earth's solar system suddenly filled with massive ships. They appeared without warning, like dark clouds covering the sun. The ships were huge, each one the size of a city. There were thousands of them, stretching across space, in perfect lines. Admiral Kithris stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the small blue planet ahead. His forearms moved across control panels as his red eyes studied the data. For 3,000 years, he had conquered worlds for the Vorthak Imperium. This would be another easy victory. Emperor Zalthek wants this planet added to our empire, he told his crew. The beings here call themselves humans. They have only existed in space for a few hundred years. This will take less than a day. The Vorthak ships moved forward like a wall of metal and death. Each ship carried weapons that could destroy entire cities. The smallest ships in their fleet were bigger than anything humans had ever built. Or so they thought. On Earth, alarms were ringing in every military base around the world. Admiral Dongmin rushed into the command center in Seoul. His face was calm, but his eyes showed he understood how serious this was. He had been preparing for this day his whole life. "How many ships?" he asked Captain So Young, who was studying the readings from their sensors. "More than 10,000, sir," she replied. "They're bigger than anything we've seen before. Each one could probably destroy a continent." General Haewon entered the room, her uniform perfectly neat despite being woken up in the middle of the night. She had been Earth's top military planner for 20 years. She knew every detail of humanity's defense plans. "Are our people ready?" Dongmin asked her. "They've been ready for decades," she answered quietly. Dr. Wu Jin was already at his computer, his fingers moving fast across the keyboard. As Earth's chief military scientist, he knew secrets that even the other leaders didn't know. He had spent his entire career preparing humanity for this moment. "The alien ships are using old technology," he reported. "Very powerful, but not advanced. They rely on fear and overwhelming numbers." Min Ho, a young communications officer, was listening to the alien transmissions. His job was to understand what the enemies were saying. What he heard made him worried. "Sir, they're talking like this is routine for them," he said. "They expect us to surrender immediately. They've never had anyone fight back." The alien fleet stopped just outside Earth's solar system. A message came through on all frequencies. The voice was cold and mechanical, speaking in broken English. "Primitive humans of the third planet, you will surrender your world to the Vorthak Imperium. You have 72 hours to prepare your leaders for transfer. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species. This is your only warning." The message ended, leaving silence in the command center. Everyone looked at Admiral Dongmin, waiting for his response. "Send our reply," he said calmly. So Young opened the communication channel. Dongmin's voice was steady and clear as he spoke to the alien fleet. "This is Admiral Dongmin of the United Earth Defense Council. We reject your demand for surrender. Earth is under human protection. Leave our solar system immediately or face the consequences." On the alien flagship, Admiral Kithris laughed when he heard the human response. His officers joined in the laughter. In 3,000 years, no primitive species had ever refused to surrender. "Scan their fleet," he ordered. "Show me what these humans think they can fight us with." The scan results appeared on his screen. The Vorthak sensors detected about 400 human ships. They were small and seemed to be built with basic technology. The largest human ship was smaller than a Vorthak fighter. 400 ships against 10,000, Kithris said, amused. "And their weapons are primitive projectile systems. This will be over in minutes." But Captain Ji-hoon aboard the human flagship UDS Seoul was watching the alien fleet through very different sensors. The quantum detection systems that Dr. Wu Jin had developed showed him things the aliens couldn't imagine. "Their formation is designed for intimidation, not actual combat," he reported to Dongmin. "They're spread out to look impressive, but it leaves them vulnerable to coordinated attacks." Dr. Eun Jung was working in her laboratory on the moon. The lunar research facility looked like a simple scientific station from the outside. Inside, it contained weapons technology that would have amazed the alien invaders. She was making final preparations for systems that had taken decades to build. "All defensive grids are online," she reported to Earth. "Hidden platforms throughout the solar system are ready for activation." Major Tai Hyung was coordinating with secret bases on asteroids and moons throughout the solar system. For 50 years, humanity had been building these bases while pretending they were mining operations or research stations. The aliens had no idea what they were really facing. Young Mi commanded a ship that the aliens couldn't even detect. Her stealth frigate was using technology that made it invisible to Vorthak's sensors. She was watching their fleet from close range, gathering information about their weapons and tactics. "They're using the same attack patterns they've used for centuries," she reported. "No creativity, no adaptation. They just rely on having bigger guns." The alien fleet began moving toward Earth. They were in no hurry. Admiral Kithris expected the humans to panic and surrender before any real fighting started. He had seen it happen on 1,000 worlds. Lieutenant Chanwu was stationed in the asteroid belt, where humanity had built what looked like mining stations. But as the alien fleet approached, these stations began to change. Hidden panels slid away, revealing massive weapons that had been disguised as mining equipment. "All mining stations reporting ready," he said into his communicator. "The railguns are charged and waiting for orders." Back on Earth, the United Defense Council was meeting in emergency session. World leaders from every nation were connected by quantum communication links. They all knew this day would come eventually. "The alien fleet will reach Earth in 18 hours, General Haywan reported. "They're moving slowly because they don't think we're a threat." "Good," said Dr. Wu Jin. "That gives us time to position everything perfectly." President Kim of the Korean Republic spoke for all the world leaders. "Admiral Dongmin, you have complete authority to defend our planet. Do whatever is necessary." Dongmin nodded. He touched a red button on his control panel. Across the solar system, hidden systems began coming online. Humanity was about to show the universe what happened when someone threatened Earth. The alien fleet continued its slow approach, unaware that they were flying into the most sophisticated trap ever built. Admiral Kithris was already planning his victory celebration. Emperor Zalthek would be pleased with another easy conquest, but Minho was listening to more alien communications. What he heard made him smile for the first time since the crisis began. "Sir," he said to Admiral Dongmin, "they're arguing about who gets to rule Earth after they conquer it. They're so confident that they're already dividing up our planet." "Let them argue," Dongmin replied quietly. "In a few hours they'll have more important things to worry about." As Earth's sun set, the alien fleet moved closer. 10,000 ships against 400. It seemed impossible for humanity to win. But the aliens had made one critical mistake. They had assumed that what they could see was all that existed. They were about to learn that humans were very good at hiding their true strength. The trap was set. The weapons were ready. And humanity was about to teach the galaxy that Earth was not just another primitive world to be conquered. The real battle was about to begin. The Vorthak fleet moved through space like a slow river of death. Admiral Kithris was confident and relaxed. He had conquered so many worlds that this felt like routine work. His ships spread out in their traditional formation, designed to terrify any species that saw them coming. Commander Ji-hoon watched the alien fleet from his position on the flagship UDS Seoul. The quantum sensors that Dr. Wu Jin had built showed him every detail of the enemy ships. What he saw made him shake his head in amazement. "They're using the same tactics they've used for thousands of years," he reported to Admiral Dongmin. "No innovation, no creativity. They just overwhelm primitive civilizations with superior numbers." "What kind of weapons do they have?" Dongmin asked. "Plasma cannons, fusion missiles, basic energy shields," Ji-hoon replied. "Powerful enough to destroy cities, but nothing we haven't seen before. Their technology stopped advancing centuries ago." Dr. Eun-jung was deep inside the Luna research facility, making final checks on systems that had taken her lifetime to develop. The facility looked like a simple research station from the outside, but it contained technology that would revolutionize warfare across the galaxy. "Project Prometheus is ready for activation," she reported to Earth Command. "All hidden defense. Grids are online and waiting for your signal." The Luna facility was just one of hundreds of secret installations throughout the solar system. For decades, humanity had been building weapons while pretending to be a peaceful, primitive civilization. The aliens had no idea what they were flying. Into Major Tae-hyung was coordinating the activation of defense systems that didn't officially exist. From his command post on Mars, he could control weapons platforms hidden on every moon, asteroid, and space station in the solar system. Stealth field generators are active, he reported. The enemy sensors can't detect our true defensive positions. The Vorthak fleet began their demonstration of power. This was their standard procedure when conquering a new world. They would destroy something impressive to show their strength, then demand immediate surrender. Admiral Kithras selected his target carefully. The dwarf planet Pluto sat at the edge of the solar system, far from Earth. Destroying it would demonstrate Vorthak power without harming anything the humans really cared about. Fire the planet killer weapon, he ordered, the massive beam lance, on his flagship charged up with enough energy to crack a world in half. The weapon fired, sending a stream of pure destruction toward Pluto. The beam was so powerful, it lit up space like a second sun. Captain Young-mi watched from her stealth frigate as the beam struck Pluto. She was close enough to see what happened next, and what she saw made her smile. The beam hit Pluto's surface and simply disappeared. The entire planet shimmered like water, then became transparent. What the aliens thought was a rocky world was actually a massive holographic projection. Underneath the illusion was something much more dangerous. Pluto defense platform is revealing itself, Young-mi reported calmly. The aliens just attacked our outermost weapons station. The hologram faded away, showing the truth. What looked like Pluto was actually a gigantic weapons platform, bristling with guns that could destroy entire fleets. It had been disguised as a planet for over 30 years. On the alien flagship, alarms began ringing. Admiral Kithras stared at his screens in confusion. According to his sensors, a planet had just vanished and been replaced by a military installation. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Planets don't just disappear." His science officer was studying the readings with growing panic. "Sir, it appears the humans have been using advanced holographic technology to hide their defensive positions." Lieutenant Chan Wu was stationed in the asteroid belt, where humanity had built what appeared to be mining operations. Now those mining stations were waking up, shedding their disguises like snakes shedding skin. Massive railguns unfolded from inside asteroids. Missile silos opened on space stations that had looked like simple ore processors. The entire asteroid belt revealed itself to be one enormous weapons platform. "All belt defense systems are online," Chan Wu reported. "We have the alien fleet surrounded." Dr. Wu Jin was in his laboratory on Earth, watching as decades of careful planning finally came together. He had spent 20 years developing the technology that would protect humanity from exactly this kind of threat. "The quantum entanglement communication system is working perfectly," he told Admiral Dong-min. "We can coordinate our entire defense grid instantly, across the whole solar system." This was something the aliens had never encountered before. Most primitive civilizations fought with simple weapons and slow communications, but humanity had built a defense network that could think and react faster than any single ship or fleet. Commander Insu was aboard one of humanity's real warships, hidden behind stealth technology that made it invisible to alien sensors. His ship was one of thousands that the Vorthak couldn't detect. "All stealth squadrons are in position," he reported. "We're spread throughout their formation. They have no idea we're here." The alien fleet was beginning to realize they had made a serious mistake. What they thought was a primitive solar system defended by a few hundred small ships was actually a massive fortress, bristling with advanced weapons. Admiral Kithras tried to contact his emperor, but found that his communications were being jammed. Lieutenant Da-un, aboard a human electronic warfare ship, was making sure the aliens couldn't call for help or coordinate their fleet effectively. "Their communication systems are using old encryption," she reported. "We cracked their codes years ago. They can't talk to each other without us hearing everything they say." Dr. Yoon Seo activated the gravitational manipulation weapons that her team had hidden throughout the solar system. These weapons could create artificial gravity fields strong enough to crush starships like tin cans. "Gravity wells are forming around the alien fleet," she reported. "They're trapped. They can't escape to hyperspace while the gravity fields are active." Commander Hyejin was preparing to activate the Sol defense grid, a network of quantum weapons that could strike targets anywhere in the solar system instantly. No matter how fast the alien ships were, they couldn't outrun quantum entanglement. Colonel Sung-Ho opened the launch bays of his carriers, releasing swarms of self-replicating combat drones. These tiny machines could reproduce themselves using materials from destroyed enemy ships, creating an ever-growing cloud of death around the alien fleet. The Vorthak were beginning to panic. Admiral Kithris had never faced an enemy that could hide weapons on this scale. Every rock, every space station, every piece of debris in the solar system seemed to be armed and dangerous. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the system," his tactical officer reported. "The humans have weapons everywhere. This isn't a primitive civilization at all." "How many ships do they really have?" Kithris demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our sensors can't penetrate their stealth technology. But based on the energy signatures, there could be tens of thousands of hidden vessels." Captain Sujin was commanding a squadron of ships that used weaponized black holes as their primary armament. These weapons could create gravity fields so intense that they warped space and time around enemy targets. Major Ki-Wan was coordinating the systematic targeting of every alien ship. Humanity's quantum computers had analyzed the enemy fleet and identified the weak points of every vessel. The coming battle would be surgical, precise, and devastating. The aliens tried to retreat, but found that every escape route was blocked. The humans had been planning this trap for decades, and they had thought of everything. Admiral Kithris realized with growing horror that his mighty fleet was surrounded by an enemy they had completely underestimated. The humans weren't primitive at all. They were predators who had been waiting patiently for prey to enter their trap. "All ships, prepare for combat," he ordered desperately. "We're fighting for our lives." But it was already too late. Admiral Dongmin had given the signal. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden weapons were powering up. The trap was about to close, and the galaxy was about to learn that Earth was the most dangerous place in the universe to pick a fight. Admiral Dongmin stood in the command center, watching as the alien fleet realized they were trapped. For 50 years, humanity had been preparing for this moment. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could do when they stopped pretending to be weak. "Activate Project Prometheus," he said quietly into his communicator. Dr. Wu Jin smiled as he entered the activation code he had memorized 20 years ago. Across the solar system, humanity's real military power began to reveal itself. What the aliens thought was a primitive defense force was about to become their worst nightmare. The space around Earth suddenly filled with ships. Thousands of them appeared as their stealth systems powered down. Captain In-Su commanded one of 50,000 vessels that had been hiding in plain sight, disguised as civilian ships, cargo haulers, and research vessels. "All stealth squadrons reporting ready," In-Su said as his merchant vessel shed its fake hull plating to reveal a warship that made the alien flagship look like a toy. "The fleet is revealed and ready for combat." Admiral Kithris stared at his tactical display in horror. Where there had been 400 primitive ships, there were now 50,000 advanced warships. Each one was broadcasting energy signatures that his computers couldn't fully analyze. "This is impossible," he whispered. "How did they hide so many ships?" His science officer was frantically scanning the human vessels. "Sir, their technology is far beyond ours. These ships are using physics we don't understand. They're not just hidden from our sensors, they're partially existing outside normal space-time." Commander Haijin activated the Soul Defense Grid from her command post on Europa. The quantum entanglement weapons network came online, creating invisible connections between every defensive position in the solar system. "Soul Grid is active," she reported. "We can strike any target instantly, anywhere in the system." The aliens tried to fire their weapons, but found that their targeting systems couldn't lock on to the human ships. Captain Jae Sung commanded vessels that could phase in and out of normal reality, attacking from dimensions the Vorthak couldn't even detect. "Dimensional warfare protocols are active," he reported, as his ships struck the alien fleet from impossible angles. "Enemy vessels cannot target what they cannot perceive." Colonel Sung-Ho released his swarms of self-replicating combat drones. The tiny machines spread through the alien formation like a plague, reproducing themselves using materials from the enemy ships they destroyed. "Drone swarms are multiplying faster than projected," he reported with satisfaction. "Current count is over 10 million and growing exponentially. Dr. Yoon Seo activated the gravitational manipulation weapons hidden throughout the Mars facility. Space itself began to bend around the alien ships, creating crushing forces that their armor couldn't resist. Gravity weapons are online, she announced as enemy vessels began imploding under impossible gravitational stress. We're collapsing their hulls from the inside out. The battle had been raging for 3 minutes, and the Vorthak fleet was already being torn apart. Admiral Kithris tried desperately to coordinate his ships, but the human electronic warfare systems were jamming every frequency he tried to use. Lieutenant Dae-Yun was systematically dismantling the alien communication network. Their encryption is childishly simple, she reported. We're not just jamming them, we're feeding them false orders and making their own ships attack each other. Major Ki-Wan was coordinating the systematic destruction of the enemy fleet. Humanity's IDIS quantum computers were analyzing each alien ship and determining the most efficient way to destroy it with minimal energy expenditure. Target prioritization is complete, he announced. We're destroying their command ships first, then their heavy weapons platforms, then the support vessels. Estimated time to complete fleet destruction, 4 minutes. Captain Sujin's squadron was using weapons that created artificial black holes, tearing holes in reality itself. The gravitational fields were so intense that they pulled enemy ships apart at the molecular level. Singularity weapons are performing beyond specifications, she reported as another alien dreadnought vanished into a gravity well. We're not just destroying their ships, we're erasing them from existence. The Vorthak tried to retreat, but discovered that humanity had been manipulating hyperspace itself. The escape routes they had used for thousands of years were now sealed. By human technology, Admiral Kithris realized with growing terror that his empire had attacked something far beyond their understanding. These weren't primitive humans defending their world. They were apex predators who had been waiting for someone foolish enough to threaten them. How long have they been watching us? He asked his intelligence officer. Unknown, sir, but based on their knowledge of our tactics and technology, they've been studying our empire for decades. They know everything about us, and we know nothing about them. Commander Ji-Hoon was analyzing the effectiveness of humanity's weapons in real combat. The results exceeded every prediction. Our casualty rate is 0, he reported. The enemy can't even damage our shields. Dr. Yoon-jung activated the final stage of the Luna facility's defenses. Weapons that manipulated matter at the quantum level began disintegrating alien ships by breaking the bonds between their atoms. Molecular disruptor arrays are firing, she announced. Enemy vessels are being reduced to their component elements. The alien fleet was dying. In 6 minutes of combat, humanity had destroyed over half of their ships without losing a single vessel. The Vorthak weapons couldn't even penetrate human shields, while human weapons were erasing enemy ships from reality. Young Mi's stealth frigate moved through the alien formation like a ghost, gathering intelligence on their technology and tactics. Enemy morale is collapsing, she reported. They're trying to surrender, but they don't know how to contact us through our jamming. Admiral Kithris made a desperate decision. If he couldn't defeat the humans, he would at least warn the Empire about what they faced. He tried to send an emergency message to Emperor Zalthek, but found that even his most powerful transmitters couldn't penetrate the human interference. Minho was monitoring all alien communications. They're trying to call for help, he reported to Admiral Dong-min. But we're blocking every signal. As far as the rest of their empire knows, this fleet simply vanished. The 7th minute of combat began, and the alien fleet was in full retreat. But they quickly discovered that retreat was impossible. The humans had used their gravitational weapons to create a sphere of twisted space-time around the entire battle zone. Hyperspace is locked down, reported Dr. Yoon Seo. No ship can enter or leave this area until we allow it. Admiral Dong-min watched the tactical display as the last alien resistance crumbled. The mighty Vorthak fleet, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, was being systematically annihilated by an enemy they had never imagined could exist. 7 minutes and 30 seconds, he said quietly. Faster than our worst-case scenario projections. Captain So Young was recording everything for humanity's archives. All alien vessels are destroyed or disabled, she reported. Total human casualties, 0. Total alien survivors, approximately 50 individuals in escape pods. The solar system was suddenly quiet. Where there had been 10,000 alien warships, there was now only debris and a handful of escape pods. The greatest military force in the galaxy had been erased in less than 8 minutes. Admiral Kithris floated in his escape pod, staring at the wreckage of his fleet. Around him, the few other survivors were in shock. They had witnessed something that would change the galaxy forever. "Prepare the survivors for interrogation," Admiral Dongmin ordered. "We need to learn everything about their empire's military capabilities and territorial boundaries." Dr. Wu Jin was already analyzing the alien technology from the destroyed ships. "Their science is centuries behind ours," he reported. "They've been using the same weapons and tactics for so long that they forgot how to innovate." The trap had worked perfectly. Humanity had lured the alien fleet into the solar system, surrounded them with overwhelming force, and destroyed them before they could warn their empire. But this was just the beginning. Admiral Dongmin activated the next phase of humanity's plan. It was time to send a message to the galaxy. The age of alien empires bullying primitive worlds was about to end. The battle lasted exactly 7 minutes and 33 seconds. When it ended, the most powerful fleet in galactic history had been reduced to floating debris and a handful of terrified survivors. Humanity had not lost a single ship. Major Kiwan watched the final alien vessel explode on his tactical display. He had coordinated the systematic dismantling of the Vorthak fleet with the precision of a surgeon and the efficiency of a computer. Every shot had been calculated, every target prioritized, every second accounted for. "Final enemy vessel destroyed," he reported to Admiral Dongmin. "Fleet elimination is complete. Time elapsed, 7 minutes, 33 seconds. Human casualties, 0. Captain Su Jin was studying the effectiveness of humanity's most advanced weapons. Her squadron had used weaponized black holes to tear apart enemy dreadnoughts. The gravitational weapons didn't just destroy ships, they erased them so completely that not even atoms remained. "Singularity weapons performed flawlessly," she reported. "We created 17 artificial black holes and destroyed 47 enemy capital ships. The gravitational fields were so precise that we didn't damage any nearby human vessels." Commander Jae Sung had led the dimensional warfare squadrons, ships that could attack from parallel realities. The aliens couldn't fight what they couldn't see or understand. His vessels had struck from dimensions that Vorthak science didn't even know existed. "Phase combat protocols exceeded all expectations," he said. "We attacked from 17 different dimensional angles simultaneously. The enemy couldn't comprehend what was happening to them." General Haewon was coordinating ground-based weapons that could reach across light years to strike targets with pinpoint accuracy. Earth's planetary defense grid had contributed to the battle, despite being millions of miles away from the fighting. "Planetary lance batteries fired successfully at maximum range," she reported. "We hit enemy targets from Earth orbit with weapons that bent space-time to deliver their payload instantly." Dr. Wu Jin was analyzing the battle data in real time. What he saw confirmed decades of theoretical work. Humanity's technology wasn't just superior to the aliens, it was so far advanced that the Vorthak couldn't even understand how it worked. "Enemy weapons were completely ineffective against our defenses," he reported. "Their most powerful shots couldn't even dent our weakest shields. It's like they were throwing stones at a modern tank." Admiral Kithris floated in his escape pod, watching the wreckage of his fleet drift past. In 3,000 years of conquest, he had never imagined such a complete defeat was possible. His 10,000 ships had been swept away like leaves in a hurricane. "How?" he whispered to himself. "How did we not know?" Lieutenant Dayun had been monitoring alien communications throughout the battle. What she heard revealed the true extent of humanity's preparation. "Sir, the aliens have been trying to contact their empire throughout the engagement. They have no idea that we've been monitoring their communications for decades." The Vorthak had relied on the same frequencies and encryption methods for centuries. Humanity had cracked their codes so thoroughly that human computers could predict what alien commanders would say before they said it. Colonel Sung Ho's self-replicating drones had spread through the alien formation like a mechanical plague. The tiny machines had reproduced themselves using materials from destroyed enemy ships, creating an ever-growing swarm of destruction. Final drone count: 47 million units, he reported. They consumed the wreckage of enemy vessels to build more copies of themselves. We now have enough drones to fight 100 battles this size. Dr. Yoon Seo had used gravitational manipulation weapons to crush alien ships like tin cans. The weapons created artificial gravity fields so powerful that enemy vessels imploded before their crews even realized they were under attack. Gravity. Well, generators are powering down, she announced. We created localized gravitational fields equivalent to the pull of a neutron star. Enemy hulls weren't designed to withstand that kind of stress. Commander Haye Jin had controlled the Sol defense grid, quantum entanglement weapons that could strike anywhere in the solar system instantaneously. Distance meant nothing to weapons that operated outside normal space-time. Quantum Lance Network performed perfectly, she reported. We hit targets on the far side of the solar system with zero travel time. The aliens didn't even have time to react. Captain Young Mi had observed the battle from her stealth frigate, gathering intelligence on alien technology and tactics. What she discovered would change humanity's understanding of galactic civilization. The alien fleet was using technology that's centuries out of date, she reported. They stopped innovating because they never faced serious resistance. They became complacent. Admiral Cathras was beginning to understand the scale of his empire's mistake. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet, they had done it so easily that it looked effortless. Every alien weapon had been countered, every tactic anticipated, every strategy neutralized. They knew everything about us, he said to the other survivors. Our weapons, our tactics, our formations. They've been studying us while we ignored them. Minho was still monitoring the few remaining alien communication signals. The survivors were trying to understand what had happened to them. But their minds couldn't process the reality of their situation. The surviving aliens are in shock, he reported. They're having trouble accepting that their empire's greatest fleet was destroyed so quickly. Dr. Jin A was studying the alien ships that had been captured intact. The technology inside them revealed the truth about the Vorthak Empire. They had become so powerful that they stopped advancing, relying on old weapons and outdated tactics. Their science stopped progressing 500 years ago, she reported. They became so dominant that they saw no need to improve. They forgot that someone else might be getting stronger. Admiral Dong Min watched the tactical display as the last pieces of alien debris drifted away. The victory was complete, but he knew this was only the beginning. The Vorthak Empire still controlled thousands of worlds, and they would eventually notice that their conquest fleet had vanished. Prepare for Phase 2, he ordered. It's time to send a message to the galaxy. Captain In-Su was commanding the cleanup operation, recovering useful alien technology and ensuring that no enemy vessels escaped. His ships moved through the debris field like scavengers, gathering intelligence and resources. Salvage operations are proceeding smoothly, he reported. We're recovering intact examples of alien technology and gathering data on their empire's military capabilities. The few alien survivors were brought aboard human ships for interrogation. They were treated well, but they were terrified. They had witnessed the complete destruction of what they thought was an invincible force. Lieutenant Seong Min was in charge of questioning the prisoners. What he learned from them would help humanity plan its next moves. The aliens confirmed that their empire controls over 3,000 star systems, he reported. But their military is spread thin, and most of their forces are just as outdated as this fleet. Dr. Yejin was already working on integrating captured alien technology with human systems. The combination of human innovation and alien resources would create weapons even more powerful than what had just destroyed the Vorthak fleet. Preliminary analysis suggests we can improve our existing weapons by 30% using alien materials, she reported. Their technology may be outdated, but their resources are valuable. Colonel Hyun-woo was preparing liberation fleets to free the worlds under Vorthak control. Unlike the aliens, humanity didn't want to conquer. They wanted to liberate. The galaxy was about to learn the difference. Freedom fleets are being prepared, he announced. We'll offer protection to any world that wants to break free from the Vorthak Empire. The solar system was quiet again, but it was the quiet before a storm. Humanity had revealed its true strength to the universe, and the galaxy would never be the same. The age of alien empires was ending, and the age of human protection was about to begin. Admiral Dongmin looked at the stars beyond Earth's solar system. Somewhere out there, the Vorthak Empire was waiting, unaware that their greatest fleet had just been destroyed. Soon, they would learn that humanity was coming for them. With the Vorthak fleet reduced to floating debris, Dr. Wu Jin activated humanity's next surprise. Hidden transmitters throughout the solar system began broadcasting a signal that reached across the entire galaxy instantly. Every world under Vorthak control would receive the same message at exactly the same time. "Quantum communication network is active," he reported to Admiral Dong Min. "We're broadcasting to every inhabited system in the galaxy simultaneously." The technology was beyond anything the aliens had imagined possible. While they still used slow radio waves that took years to cross space, humanity had learned to communicate through quantum entanglement, making distance meaningless. Min Ho stepped up to the communication panel. He had spent years learning every alien language in the galaxy, preparing for this moment. His voice would be translated into thousands of different tongues as he spoke to civilizations across the stars. "People of the galaxy," he began, his words carrying across light years in an instant. "This is Earth calling. The Vorthak Imperium is finished. Your freedom has begun." On 1,000 worlds, enslaved populations stopped their work to listen. They had lived under Vorthak rule for so long that many had forgotten what freedom meant. Now, for the first time in centuries, they dared to hope. The message continued, with Min Ho's voice reaching into every corner of the galaxy. "The Vorthak fleet that came to conquer Earth has been destroyed. Their 10,000 ships were eliminated in less than 8 minutes. Their empire can no longer protect them." Emperor Zaltek was in his throne room on the capital world when the message arrived. For a moment, he couldn't understand what he was hearing. The conquest fleet was supposed to be adding Earth to his empire, not being destroyed by primitive humans. "This is impossible," he said to his advisors. "No species has ever defeated a Vorthak fleet. These humans must be lying." But even as he spoke, reports were coming in from across his empire. On every world under Vorthak control, the message was being broadcast with perfect clarity and in every local language. Somehow, the humans were communicating with the entire galaxy at once. Young Mi's stealth frigate was monitoring alien communications throughout their territory. What she heard confirmed that humanity's message was having exactly the effect they wanted. "Slave populations throughout the empire are in revolt," she reported. "They're rising up against their Vorthak masters. The empire's control is collapsing, faster than we predicted." Dr. Jin A had been working on humanity's ultimate weapon against the Vorthak Empire. While the aliens relied on brute force, humanity had developed something much more subtle and devastating, a quantum virus that could disable alien technology on command. "The virus seeds we planted in Vorthak territory over the past decade are activating," she announced with satisfaction. "Every piece of Vorthak technology is being infected simultaneously. For years, human agents had been secretly visiting Vorthak worlds, pretending to be traders or diplomats. They had planted tiny devices that spread through alien computer networks like a disease, waiting for the activation signal. Now those devices were coming alive. Across the Empire, Vorthak ships found their engines failing, their weapons powering down, their life support systems malfunctioning. The mighty Imperial war machine was shutting down from within. Emperor Zaltek tried to contact his fleet commanders, but found that his communication systems were offline. Throughout his palace, computer screens were going dark and control panels were shutting down. "The humans have infected our technology," his chief scientist reported in panic. "Every system connected to our networks is failing. Our entire infrastructure is compromised." Colonel Hyun Woo was already leading the first liberation fleets toward former Vorthak territories. Unlike the aliens, humanity didn't come as conquerors. They came as liberators, offering protection to any world that wanted freedom. "Liberation Fleet Alpha is departing for the Kepler system," he reported. "The slave colonies there have requested immediate assistance in overthrowing their Vorthak. Overlords!" The message from Min Ho continued to broadcast across the galaxy, reaching civilizations that had never heard of Earth before. "Humanity offers protection to all who seek freedom. We do not come to conquer, but to defend. Any world that wishes to join the Terran Commonwealth will be welcomed as equals." This was something the galaxy had never seen before. Every previous dominant species had ruled through fear and oppression. But humanity was offering partnership instead of conquest, protection instead of domination. Captain So Young was monitoring the responses from across the galaxy. The reaction was overwhelming. Sir, we're receiving over 10,000 requests for protection and alliance. Former Vorthak colonies are competing to join our Commonwealth. Dr. Wu Jin smiled as he watched the data flowing in. The quantum communication network is handling the traffic perfectly. We can coordinate with thousands of worlds simultaneously. On the Vorthak capital world, Emperor Zaltek was facing a complete system collapse. His military commanders couldn't contact their fleets, his governors couldn't control their worlds, and his technology was failing everywhere at once. How long will the virus last? He demanded. Unknown, my lord, his scientist replied. We don't understand how it works. The humans have technology that's far beyond our comprehension. Admiral Kithris, floating in his escape pod, was listening to the human broadcasts. As a military officer, he understood what was happening better than his emperor. The humans weren't just defeating the Vorthak Empire, they were dismantling it with surgical precision. They planned this for decades, he said to his fellow survivors. Every step was calculated. They knew exactly how our empire worked and how to destroy it. Lieutenant Da Yun was coordinating the psychological warfare campaign that accompanied the technical attacks. Human broadcasts were being sent to every Vorthak world, explaining how their empire had oppressed innocent civilizations for thousands of years. Vorthak morale is collapsing across their entire territory, she reported. Many of their own citizens are turning against their government. They're learning the truth about their empire's crimes. Major Tai Hyung was overseeing the deployment of humanitarian aid to liberated worlds. Unlike the Vorthak, who took everything they wanted from conquered territories, humanity was sending food, medicine, and technology to help freed populations rebuild their societies. Relief convoys are launching to 47 systems, he reported. We're providing everything they need to establish independent governments. The Vorthak Empire, which had ruled a quarter of the galaxy for 3 millennia, was disintegrating in a matter of hours. Without their technology, their ships couldn't fly, their weapons couldn't fire, and their communications couldn't function. Minho's broadcast reached its climax as he delivered humanity's final message to the galaxy. The Age of Empires is ending. The Age of Freedom has begun. Earth stands ready to defend any who ask for our protection, but we will show no mercy to those who prey on the innocent. Commander Ji-hoon was analyzing the strategic implications of the Empire's collapse. With the Vorthak technology offline, their remaining fleets are scattered and powerless. They can't coordinate a counterattack or even communicate with each other. Dr. Yejin was already working on plans to help liberated worlds develop their own advanced technology. Instead of keeping their scientific advantages secret, humanity was preparing to share their knowledge with anyone who would use it peacefully. We're developing simplified versions of our technology that freed worlds can build and maintain themselves, she reported. They won't be dependent on us for protection forever. The galactic political landscape was changing faster than anyone had thought possible. In less than a day, the most powerful empire in the galaxy had been reduced to isolated pockets of confused and powerless ships. Admiral Dongmin watched the tactical displays as liberation fleets spread out across the galaxy. Humanity had revealed its strength not to conquer, but to free the oppressed and protect the innocent. Phase 2 is complete, he announced. The galaxy knows that Earth stands ready to defend freedom wherever it's threatened. But even as he spoke, new reports were coming in. Other aggressive empires, having witnessed the Vorthak's destruction, were beginning to make their own moves. The galaxy was about to become a much more interesting place. 3 months after the destruction of the Vorthak fleet, the galaxy was a completely different place. The empire that had ruled for 3,000 years was gone, replaced by hundreds of free worlds that had chosen to join humanity's growing alliance. Ambassador Ne Young stood before the Galactic Council on New Geneva Station, addressing representatives from over 500 star systems. Unlike the old empire's forced submission, every world here had chosen to join the Terran Commonwealth freely. Today marks the founding of a new age, she announced to the assembled delegates. An age where worlds choose their own destiny, where strength protects rather than oppresses, and where knowledge is shared instead of hoarded. The council chamber was filled with species that had never been allowed to speak for themselves under Vorthak rule. Now they were equal partners in shaping the galaxy's future. Fleet Admiral Dongmin, promoted after his victory over the invasion fleet, was overseeing the integration of former Vorthak military technology with human innovations. The combination was creating defensive systems that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. The hybrid defense platforms are exceeding all performance expectations, he reported to the Commonwealth leadership. Each liberated world now has protection that would have defeated the entire Vorthak Navy. General Wu Sung had established training academies throughout the galaxy, teaching former slaves how to defend themselves and their worlds. The curriculum wasn't just about weapons and tactics, but about the principles of freedom and justice that guided the Commonwealth. Graduation ceremonies are taking place on 73 worlds this month, he announced proudly. These new defenders understand that strength without wisdom is just another form of tyranny. Dr. Ye Jin had revolutionized galactic science by freely sharing humanity's technological discoveries. Research stations throughout the Commonwealth were making breakthrough discoveries daily, advancing civilization at an unprecedented rate. Open scientific collaboration is producing results we never imagined, she reported. When brilliant minds from hundreds of worlds work together, innovation accelerates exponentially. The former Vorthak capital world had been transformed into a memorial and museum dedicated to the victims of Imperial oppression. Emperor Zaldthek himself had been captured during the liberation and now spent his days in exile, forced to confront the suffering his empire had caused. Captain Seung Min commanded the exploration fleets that were pushing beyond the former Vorthak borders, carrying humanity's message of protection and alliance to civilizations that had never known freedom from oppression. First contact protocols are working perfectly, he reported from the edge of known space. New species are eager to join our alliance once they understand that we offer partnership, not conquest. Young Mai, now an admiral herself, was coordinating intelligence operations throughout the galaxy. Her networks were identifying other aggressive empires and preparing humanity to deal with new threats before they could harm innocent worlds. We've identified 17 potential threats beyond former Vorthak territory, she reported, but none of them have technology that approaches our capabilities. The quantum communication network that had delivered humanity's message to the galaxy had evolved into something even more remarkable. Dr. Wu Jin's team had created an instantaneous information-sharing system that connected every Commonwealth world. The Galactic Knowledge Network is online, he announced. Every discovery, every innovation, every advancement is shared instantly across all member worlds. The rate of technological progress is accelerating beyond our ability to measure it. Min Ho, now serving as the Commonwealth's chief diplomatic coordinator, was managing first contact with dozens of new civilizations every week. His ability to communicate in any language had made him invaluable in building bridges between species. Translation protocols are working flawlessly, he reported. We can now communicate with any species within hours of first contact. Understanding leads to trust, and trust leads to lasting peace. The economic transformation of the galaxy was just as dramatic as the political changes. Commander In-Su had developed trade networks that connected formerly isolated worlds, creating prosperity on a scale the galaxy had never experienced. Free trade between Commonwealth worlds is generating wealth and opportunity everywhere, he reported. When resources flow freely, everyone benefits. But even in this age of progress and prosperity, humanity remained vigilant. The destruction of the Vorthak Empire had created a power vacuum that other aggressive species were trying to fill. Admiral Dong Min received a priority communication from the Galactic Rim. A new threat had emerged, an empire that called itself the hegemony of Scar. They had heard about the Vorthak's fate and decided to test humanity's resolve. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Scar hegemony, reported Captain So Young from the communications center. They're demanding that Earth surrender to their authority. The message was arrogant and threatening, delivered by creatures that looked like armored insects. Their leader spoke in harsh, clicking sounds that the translation system rendered into clear English. Primitive humans of the distant star, the alien voice said. The hegemony of Scar claims dominion over this galaxy. You will submit to our rule or face the same fate that befell your predecessors. Admiral Dong Min smiled as he prepared humanity's response. In the 3 months since the Vorthak's destruction, the Commonwealth had grown stronger and more advanced. Their technology had improved, their alliances had expanded, and their resolve had only grown firmer. Open a channel to the Scar hegemony, he he ordered. Minho activated the quantum communication system, broadcasting humanity's response across the galaxy for all to hear. The message was simple and direct. "This is Admiral Minho of the Terran Commonwealth," he said calmly. "We have received your demand for surrender. Our response is the same as it was to the last empire that threatened innocent worlds. Come and take what you think you can. Earth is ready." Throughout the galaxy, Commonwealth worlds heard the message and understood. Humanity would not be intimidated, would not compromise with tyranny, and would not allow aggression to go unanswered. Dr. Jin A was already preparing new weapons systems specifically designed to counter the Scar hegemony's technology. Intelligence reports suggested they relied on biological warfare and swarm tactics, but humanity had solutions for every threat. "Anti-biological protocols are being distributed to all Commonwealth fleets," she reported. "Our immune systems and technological defenses are ready for whatever they can deploy." Colonel Hyun-woo was mobilizing liberation fleets to free worlds already under Scar control. The Commonwealth didn't wait for threats to materialize. They acted proactively to protect the innocent. "Freedom fleets are deploying to Scar territory," he announced. "We'll offer protection to any world that wants to break free from their oppression." Young Mai's intelligence networks had been monitoring the Scar hegemony for months. What they had discovered suggested that these new enemies would be even easier to defeat than the Vorthak. "The Scar are overconfident and technologically inferior," she reported. "They rely on biological weapons because they can't build anything more sophisticated. They'll be surprised by how ineffective their tactics are against us." As news of the Scar threat spread throughout the Commonwealth, member worlds responded with unity and determination. They had tasted freedom and would not allow any empire to take it away. The galaxy watched and waited as two philosophies prepared to clash. On one side stood the Scar hegemony, another empire built on conquest and oppression. On the other stood the Terran Commonwealth, an alliance dedicated to freedom and protection. Admiral Dongmin looked at the tactical displays showing Commonwealth strength spread across the galaxy. Humanity had come a long way from the small blue planet that had seemed so vulnerable just months ago. "Let them come," he said quietly. "The galaxy is under our protection now, and we've only just begun to show what humans can do when we stop pretending to be weak." The message went out across the Commonwealth, carried by quantum communications to every member world. Humanity was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The age of empires was ending, and the age of freedom would be defended at any cost. The galaxy would soon learn that Earth's victory over the Vorthak had not been luck or a single moment of strength. It had been a preview of humanity's true potential, and that potential was only beginning to be realized.